We're on the land of frozen lakes. This is 10,000 Takes. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Twin Cities sports scene. And Wally, once again, we're on television. Another episode. Normally we're on the radio, but we're on the tube today.
And you're back in town.
I am. Reluctantly. I came back from SoCal in the 80-degree temps. Yeah, a week ago I was sitting out by the pool in the Zoom room.
I know you were.
It was kind of nice. I got to be honest with you. I'll be blunt.
Well, to be blunt, it was nice to have you 1,500 miles away.
Yeah, and the feeling is definitely mutual.
Well, speaking of a long ways away, I know you are just captivated and have been for the last 2 weeks by the Winter Olympics. They finally closed the door on it in China on Sunday.
Yeah, I was glued to the tube. Not must-see TV, not for me. And apparently, Wally, for millions, because the NBC ratings down 42% from the 2018 Winter Olympics in Seoul, South Korea. And, you know, there are a few reasons for this. You had the bubble going on in China. I think that took some of the buzz away from things. You have time zone issues, so a lot of games are delayed or they have odd starting times. But there is no denying it. The primetime ratings on NBC plummeted like a bad stock. So it's a bunch of pouting peacocks at 30 Rock in New York City.
Yeah.
But I know you were watching.
Well, I watched some of that snowboarding. Shaun White is one of my heroes. Actually, one of my favorite things was what Jessie Diggins did again. And apparently she had food poisoning, and she still managed to get a silver medal on the last day of the Olympics in the 30K. So Jessie Diggins, of course, from Afton, Minnesota. She was the first American woman to win a gold medal of any kind in the cross-country event 4 years ago, as you already mentioned, in 2018. And she did it again. This time she ended up with silver, but kudos to her. And there were, 30-some Minnesotans involved in the Olympics. So I kept an eye on it, even though you could care less.
Well, it didn't help that the U.S. hockey team, men and women, didn't bring back gold. Now, I know the women won the silver, losing to Canada, but we already know who's going to play for the gold medal in women's Olympic hockey. It's going to be Canada versus the United States. And, you know, for NBC, now remember, in 2014, they got the Olympic TV rights through 2032. That's summer and winter. They ponied up $775 billion. That's $775 billion with a B. So, again, pouting peacocks. But they'll survive. I think the other thing that took away from it, a lot of their broadcasters were in Connecticut.
Well, yeah.
They didn't go to China. China's main goal was to get to the finish line and allow this to be as COVID-free as possible.
Well, and, you know, they had the same problem, actually, last summer in Tokyo. I mean, it was basically the same thing. You have the time difference, which is a problem because you don't get the live events in prime time that you would really want. And then you have the issue of COVID, where there are no fans. Basically, the athletes are locked down, and that takes away from it. There's no question about it. Even though it's more important to have the fans in the building if you are an athlete, I think it takes away from the television viewing as well.
There's no doubt. Empty venues that are, as silent as a library, I mean, that takes away from the energy. And I think for the athletes and everybody, involved in playing, the coaches, you want to be in that athlete's village. Part of the whole deal is mingling and exchanging your ideas and getting to know people from other nations and cultures and getting out in Beijing and China and seeing what that country's all about. And you basically couldn't do it. So it was a lockdown Olympics. They had a bubble, and I'm guessing China will say it was a definite success. That'll be the declaration from that country, but I don't know if it was.
Well, it lost some of the zing for me when I was watching some of the ski jumping events, and in the background it was all brown, so it was all the snow was man-made. And there were like nuclear power plants right behind where the jumpers were going. Not exactly scenic Norway or, scenic, northern Italy or wherever. And so that took some of it.
So they were concerned about COVID, but go ahead and have a major event next to a nuclear power plant. And who knows what's going to happen a few years down the road.
Well, it's a fair point. All right, so you didn't watch the Olympics. Did you watch the NBA All-Star Game and or dunk contest and or three-point shootout?
The only thing I really locked in on was the three-point competition. competition. You got to give it up for Cat.
Okay.
Self-proclaimed best shooting big man in the history of the association. And I think he's earned that label now after what he did. Move over Steph, Ray Allen, Trent Tucker, Reggie Miller, Cat. How about that? The three-ball king.
Well, Steph didn't participate in the three-point shootout. Although he hit plenty of them on Sunday night. Ended up with 50 points. He was just shy of the NBA record, which was held by Anthony Davis of 52 points. And believe me, he tried in that All-Star game to break that record. Steph hoisted up a bunch of threes down the stretch. And I'll say this about the NBA All-Star game. The first three quarters, I could really take it or leave it. I left it. But that fourth quarter, when they have a target point to get to. So what they do is they add 24 to whoever has the highest point total at the time. And it was a 2-point game going into the fourth quarter. So they add 24 to that, and they say, okay, this is what we're playing up to. It's a target. So the target was 163. The first team to 163 wins. They play hard.
It's like a backyard basketball version of 21.
It's a pickup. Yeah. In a pickup game in a sense that they play defense. Nobody wants to lose when it comes to that. When it's just the clock, it doesn't seem like they had the energy anymore. But, boy, I tell you what, these last couple of NBA All-Star games, when they have to play up to a certain target point, they play defense. Well, it's the best 10 players in the world playing hard.
You dangle the carrot, and I think you get these competitive juices in these guys.
Yes.
Definitely come out. Nobody wants to lose. I think the other thing that was the signature of this All-Star game in your hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, it was the 75th anniversary of the NBA. So you had the top 75 players in the history of the association, those that are still around. Most of them showed up. I know I saw a clip of Kevin McHale, who's from Minnesota, former Gopher, Boston Celtics standout. But he was talking to Joel Embiid, and I couldn't hear exactly what they were saying, but I'm guessing he was giving Joel some tips about how to play better down on the block. And that's the one thing K-Mac certainly knew, was how to play down low and come up with moves and things like that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, and I was at the 50th. That was 25 years ago, and it too was in Cleveland, oh, by the way, and they had the 50 greatest players. It was like a living Hall of Fame museum. It was unbelievable, and I can only imagine what the 75th looked like, with obviously several of them still playing, LeBron James, Steph Curry.
And I will say this, hard to believe, no Kobe. I mean, I still can't wrap my arms around the fact that Kobe Bryant is gone. And when I was out in SoCal, I drove through Calabasas where the copter went down. And you stop and you think, and I looked at it's the Santa Monica Mountains, and you're just like, wow. Tragic, and I don't think Los Angeles has gotten over that, to be honest. I saw a lot of murals for Kobe out there, and he will live forever, no doubt.
Yeah, in that respect, for sure. We're going to talk some more NBA coming up. We're going to talk to current, partial, soon-to-be full owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Marc Lore.
All right, that and more coming up. 10,000 takes, your Olympics ticket.
Oh, jeez.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Thinking about buying or refinancing a home? Then you should be talking to Dave Jensen and Cross Country Mortgage at mortgagesbydave.com. When you come to Dave, he begins by listening and can offer you a home loan that's right for you. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a long-time homeowner, Mortgages by Dave will be with you every step of the way. So whether you're buying or refinancing, apply online at mortgagesbydave.com or call and he'll answer at 612-384-3283. Online at mortgagesbydave.com.
From the first time you pick up a tuned-up custom rod, you'll know you're holding something special. A rod not mass-produced, but built one at a time by the hands of gifted craftsmen. Rods like the Precision, ice fishing's most versatile multi-species rod, or the Precision Noodle with a tip so sensitive you'll never fish a spring bobber again. And the Commander, the rod that's never met a big fish it couldn't best. Tuned-up custom rods. Ice rods handcrafted for you and the way you fish.
10,000 takes. Wally and Eric with you. Of course, we just got done talking some NBA All-Star game. We're going to continue the NBA talk. We are joined now from New York City by Marc Lore. He is one of the Timberwolves owners, along with Alex Rodriguez, one of the new owners of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I understand you just got back from my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. How was NBA All-Star Weekend? I see Kat had a big night on Saturday with the three-point shootout.
Oh, yeah. I was so happy I was there to see that. This is the first All-Star game, and the weekend was great. But, I mean, the pinnacle was watching Kat win that three-point contest. I mean, he just looked incredible out there. So impressive.
And Mark, you and A-Rod and Glenn Taylor have to be excited with where the Timberwolves are now. Currently, they would be a playoff team if the season ends, and I know they have designs on climbing up in the Western Conference. So it's been a good first half, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been great. And, the team's really starting to gel. I think Coach Finch has done a great job. The team is really, playing with confidence, and you see it's a lot of good chemistry. The culture seems great. And everyone knows their role, and they just keep getting better. So, yeah, I'm really excited about the rest of the season.
All right, explain to us the reason why. Why do you get into the NBA? Why the Timberwolves? I know you had some interest initially in the New York Mets. You teamed up with Alex Rodriguez, a former Major League Baseball player. So two guys outside of the NBA interest jumping into the NBA. Why did this happen?
Yeah, I mean, I was always been a big sports fan growing up, big Knicks fan coming, from New York. It was very early on in my life that I realized I wasn't going to be a professional sports athlete, unlike A-Rod, and then, you have that childhood dream of one day being an owner. You think I grew up, with modest means, in Staten Island, and that really wasn't a realistic dream, but here we are. Dreams can come true, and I couldn't be happier. It really, what Adam's done with the league, it's, the most progressive league, I would say, and just has a lot of potential. It's global. Love the fact that we have both the Lynx and the Wolves as part of the franchise, and really like, where the team stands right now. It's young. It's got a lot of potential, and we only see upside.
All right, the process, the hoops, the hurdles you and A-Rod have had to jump through, because this is an exclusive fraternity. There's only 30 teams in the association, so now you're part of this. How difficult was this you have the money, but you still got to get approved.
Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty seamless process. I think we had a lot of support from Adam in the NBA, which we really appreciate. And most of all, we had support from Glenn and Becky. I guess, like you said, it's challenging to get into the NBA club, but we were very fortunate.
Well, I read somewhere where you were called the LeBron James of e-commerce. That's a pretty good label for you. It's got a basketball connotation, so you already were NBA before you got into this.
Yeah, I'll take it. I have no complaints with that one.
Yeah, the king of E. Well, you have bold visions, not just for the Timberwolves and the NBA. You want to build a future city. You told me at a game, it might be in Nevada, and you want 5.5 million people there by 2055. Expound on this, would you please?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really, the dream was never to sort of create a city, but really see it, building the city as an opportunity to test a new model for society. We're calling it equitism, which is basically a more equitable form of capitalism, I guess you can say, in a nutshell. It basically entails us creating a foundation. The name of the city is Tolosa, so the Tolosa Community Foundation would go and buy all this worthless land. If a city of 5 million people were to be built there, the land value would obviously be worth hundreds of billions of dollars. That would accrue to the foundation. The foundation would then invest that money, earn a return, and invest it back into the city in the form of advanced social services like education, healthcare, affordable housing. So basically the best of both worlds. The tax structure that we have today in America, but the social services of a social democratic country like Sweden or Denmark or something like that. And we wanted to see if that's possible. We believe it is. And at the same time, we're also looking to build the most sustainable city in the world. So our mission is to create a more equitable and sustainable future. in a nutshell, that's what it is.
All right, couple of questions that come to mind for Timberwolves fans. One, is this team going to stay in Minnesota? And two, what about Target Center? Do you have plans, designs on either replacing or further updating Target Center?
Yeah, these are, in terms of the arena itself, that's something that we're currently having discussions about now, and we'll know a lot more, I think, in the near future. But I don't think it's a long-term, forever kind of place. I think there's an opportunity, as you can see what some of the other teams have done with state-of-the-art arenas. But it's still way too early to sort of talk about whether we'd be doing it and when and things like that. With regards to moving, we love Minnesota. There's no way we're moving the team. Like, we absolutely love the fans. We love the team. We love the history. And Alex and I we're more missionary than mercenary. It's not about the money. People say, oh, you can make more money if you move. I don't about the money, about moving. It's about the mission. It's about, there's a history here. There's a fan base that's, rooted for this team for a long time. And we want to do our best to make the fans and the community and the city proud of what we've done. So we would never move it. No.
And it is a hungry fan base. I think you've been able to find that out, Mark, when you've gone to Target Center. They want this team to succeed. Tell us about your partner, A-Rod. Fabulous player at the Major League Baseball level, but not getting Hall of Fame votes. Is he a Hall of Famer in your opinion?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's really a shame. I mean, what he's doing for the game now, what he did for the game. He's one of the best players of all time, and he absolutely deserves to be in the Hall. I mean, he's also a great character guy. I mean, we really connected on values alignment early on when we met. And he's a missionary like me. He believes in building something bigger than himself, and I feel the same way. We're on a mission together, and we have a shared set of values that we really look forward to infusing into the team going forward.
Well, you said that as a kid you grew up thinking, well, maybe someday I'd be a professional athlete. That didn't work out. But I did see that you qualified in 1996 for the U.S. Olympic bobsled team. Take me down that path. How did that all come about?
It was actually the U.S. national team. It would have been in the Olympics 2 years later, but yeah.
Right.
It was basically by chance. I was a track athlete in college, sprinter, jumper, and basically, it's a long story, but sort of got to try out for the team. They did some testing up in Lake Placid. I passed the test and was able to train with the team, learn how to push the sled and stuff over the course of a month. And then they had time trials pushing the sled and things. And I was fortunate enough to qualify. But it's all about, it wasn't a driver, obviously. It was all about, speed and strength and explosion. And that's sort of what I was, had done a couple of years earlier in track and field. So, but yeah, I was in sort of the right place at the right time and in the right level of shape. So,
quickly, Mark, my kid got to meet you earlier this season at Target Center. He was impressed with the high tops you were wearing. Where do we get those?
Oh boy.
He keeps talking about it.
Yeah, I just, my brother and sister-in-law, they got me a pair, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago of the Jordans, and I loved them. And ever since then, I've been just, collecting new pairs and trying and wearing them and things. And I'm so into it, but it literally was only a 6 month ago thing. You'd be finding me in very basic shoes about 7 months ago.
So in other words, you weren't wearing those when you were running that bobsled team.
No.
For sure not.
Not enough grip, I would think.
Yeah, it might be a little slick. Well, Mark, we appreciate so much you taking some time with us. Best wishes to you and the Timberwolves as they go down the stretch here. Hopefully we'll see you at Target Center and we'll talk about some playoff games.
Oh, can't wait. Thank you so much. It's great chatting with you. Take care.
All right.
Thank you.
He is Marc Lore, one of the owners of the Minnesota Timberwolves, right here on 10,000 Takes. We're back with more after this timeout. Stay with us.
From the first time you pick up a tuned-up custom rod, you'll know you're holding something special. A rod not mass-produced, but built one at a time by the hands of gifted craftsmen. Rods like the Precision, ice fishing's most versatile multi-species rod, or the Precision Noodle with a tip so sensitive you'll never fish a spring bobber again. And the Commander, the rod that's never met a big fish it couldn't best. Tuned Up Custom Rods. Ice rods handcrafted for you and the way you fish.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
$10,000 takes, Wally and Eric. We haven't talked football yet. I mean, I've gone 2 full segments with you and have not talked football.
You made me talk about the Olympics, the NBA. Come on, the Shield, baby. It's a year-round topic.
It is for you, I know that. Well, it is for the NFL too. All right. We'll make it quick and painless here. The Vikings have made their moves. Obviously, we know about Kevin O'Connell. Been hearing that story for the last, I don't know, it seems like a year. It's only been 3 weeks. So he's in, and he has brought like the entire Rams coaching staff with him.
Yeah, this is SoCal North, minus the palm trees and the warm weather. Well, he's got his coordinators. He's filled out his coaching staff. So Ed Donatel, the veteran, is the defensive coordinator. And Wes Phillips is your offensive coordinator. And you and I have harped on nepotism in the NFL. Let's see. His grandfather is Bum Phillips. His father is Wade Phillips. So now you get Wes Phillips, and he was the tight end coach for the Rams and part of their passing game coordination on game day and things like that.
So tight ends coach, he's in charge of how many guys?
Roughly 4, I'm guessing, if you count your practice squad tight end guy. It reminds me of Tim Brewster when the Gophers hired him. He was the tight ends coach for the Denver Broncos, and my first takeaway was, well, wait a minute, how many guys did he have in his room, 3 or 4?
Yeah, and so you have a similar situation here. Well, this actually, when I saw that, I thought, let's see, nepotism, a guy who was like a positions coach, Clint Kubiak all over. And not that Clint did a terrible job, but it just seems like it keeps happening.
It does. And the revolving door for offensive coordinators in Minnesota is real. Now, obviously, Kevin O'Connell's going to bring in a new person. I get that.
Right.
But it's now 7 coordinators in 7 seasons. Let's hope that Wes Phillips lasts a lot longer than guys like Norv Turner and all these others, Kevin Stefanski that Zim brought in.
Yeah. Well, Wade Phillips lasted 42 years in the NFL, by the way, and 3 Super Bowls.
He did. So. And for our younger viewers out there, Google up Bum Phillips.
With
one of the all-time great characters in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, the big cowboy hat. Okay, let's shift a little bit and talk some basketball, college basketball. Big Ten on Sunday. Now, the Gophers played on Saturday. And then, by the way, they won at home. It was a good win for the Gophers at home on Saturday.
They
beat Northwestern. And they played without Peyton Willis, by the way, which is really good because he's been basically their best player, him and Jamison Battle. But on Sunday, over in Bucky Badgerland, some Minnesotans involved, of course, Brad Davison and company, Tyler Wall, all these former Minnesota kids playing basketball for Wisconsin. But their head coach got into it a little bit with Michigan's head coach.
Yeah, basket brawl. A dust-up in Madison, literally. So Greg Gard is your Badger head coach. Juwan Howard is your Michigan head coach. And you have that post-game handshake that takes place right there on the sideline. In this case, both teams should have went to their respective locker rooms because Wisconsin has a convincing lead. Gard wants to call a timeout with like 15 seconds left. That teed off Juwan, who then wanted a full court press, and that upset Gard. And there was a scrum after the game, and Gard got right in Juwan's grill. Juwan claims he touched him, and then Juwan throws a haymaker at Joe Krabbenhoff, the assistant coach for the Badgers. And we had literally a Donnybrook in Wisconsin, and the optics not good. Well, hey, 50 years ago you had one here in Minneapolis, right? Ohio State and Minnesota.
I remember it well.
So we shall see how Kevin Warren, the Big Ten commissioner, handles this and what he doles out for punishment.
I don't think it's going to be good for Juwan. I still think Juwan Howard is still upset about losing to the Gophers back early in the season.
I think you're right, Wally. Michigan's frustrated. They were ranked going in. They're unranked now. They had high hopes. They knocked on the Final Four door last season. But, by the way, Wisconsin, good as usual, another top 20 team.
All right. When we come back, takes of the day. You are watching 10,000 Takes, the TV show. Stay with us. Thinking about buying or refinancing a home? Then you should be talking to Dave Jensen and Cross Country Mortgage at mortgagesbydave.com. When you come to Dave, he begins by listening and can offer you a home loan that's right for you. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a long-time homeowner, Mortgages by Dave will be with you every step of the way. So whether you're buying or refinancing, apply online at mortgagesbydave.com or call and he'll answer at 612-384-3283. Online at mortgagesbydave.com.
From the first time you pick up a tuned-up custom rod, you'll know you're holding something special. A rod not mass-produced, but built one at a time by the hands of gifted craftsmen. Rods like the Precision, ice fishing's most versatile multi-species rod, or the Precision Noodle with a tip so sensitive you'll never fish a spring bobber again. And the Commander, the rod that's never met a big fish it couldn't best. Tuned-up custom rods. Ice rods handcrafted for you and the way you fish.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
$10K Takes TV continues. Final segment of today's show. Takes of the day. We're going to find out what Wally's mood is. Cranky Yankee, grumpy Guardian, optimistic Ohioan, happy camper. What is it?
Well, as you know, your Gopher women's basketball team kind of on the skids again. They got thumped by Nebraska on Sunday. They are now, 5-11 in the Big Ten, 12-16 overall. And Lindsay Whalen's crew has not been living up to expectations. Now, I don't know. Those expectations are probably going to rise now because apparently she has one of the top recruiting classes in America coming into the University of Minnesota next season. But look, this is her fourth year. They have not been to the NCAA tournament. They're not going this year unless they make a run in the Big Ten tournament. So that's not happening. They made it to the WNIT her first year. They were 21-11 her first year, but she still had Marlene Stallings players. I mean, that was an NCAA second-round team from the year before. So should we be measuring her on a different scale right now? Should Lindsay Whalen be given more rope here? 4 years in, not much progress. As a matter of fact, they've regressed. And a season this year where they're 5-11, 12-16 overall. They still have a couple of games left in the regular season, but they're not going anywhere this year. And I think that it's fair to put a little bit of heat on Lindsay Whalen over there at the U women's basketball program. No question.
Good point. It was a hype hire based on her outstanding success
doubt.
as a Gopher basketball player and with the Minnesota Lynx. But as a coach, unproven, and to this point in time, not able to win consistently. Mood meter says you are a grumpy Guardian.
I am grumpy, yes.
That's pretty accurate. All right, well, my take of the day, you're going to be downright despondent when you hear this. You're going to fly your NFL car flag at half staff because there's a group of agents who represent over 150 of the 324 invite prospects to the NFL Combine, which starts next week in Indianapolis. I know you've already got an airline ticket down to Indy.
Right.
They may boycott the Combine. They're not happy with the bubble setup by the NFL because of COVID, so we may only have half the prospects of the Combine. Is this going to force you to get a hold of your favorite airline? What is it, Southwest, Spirit, one of those budget carriers, and get that refund now? Because I know you want to go down there and see everybody do the bench press, do the cone drills, do the 40-yard dash, do the vertical jumps, the NFL Olympics. You're an Olympics guy.
Yeah, I'm an Olympics guy, but not an NFL Olympics guy. Holy smokes. Okay, well, that actually makes it better. If only half the guys going to show up, that means it'll only take half as long as it normally will.
Yeah, but it'll still get a lot of coverage on the NFL Network. All right. Well, I guess we're out of time, aren't we? All right, let's FedEx out those thank yous. One to Rocky, one to Marc Lore, and the entire crew here at MCN6 for Wally. I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your sports ticket.